Okay, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a case that, well, it really shows that even in like the most ordinary lives, anyone can run into extraordinary
Oh,
darkness.
yeah, it's true.
So you guys have sent in sources, a lot of them, on the Jolene Cummings case. We
Hmm.
got news articles, court transcripts, even a psychological profile
Oh, wow.
of the person who was eventually convicted. And it is a story with, I don't know, more layers than an onion.
Yeah.
So let's unpack it, shall we?
Feels good. Let's do it.
All right.
Well, and it all starts in this, really seemingly idyllic setting, right? Fernandina Beach, Florida.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
Jolene Cummings she's a local hairstylist, a mother,
Mm-hmm.
and she vanishes, just disappears from her home in May of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And what seems like, at first glance, a simple missing person case very quickly becomes something much more complex.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is how many people in Jolene's life knew right away that this wasn't like a normal, she'll turn up kind of situation.
Mhm.
She missed picking up her kids, missed Mother's Day, her own birthday.
Oh, wow.
Like those are huge red flags.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the investigation first turns, right?
Yeah.
The police start looking at the people closest to Jolene,
Right.
the estranged husband,
Yeah.
a new boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them become persons of interest
Oh, really?
early on in the investigation.
Mm.
Police even found signs of a struggle at Jolene's home, which
Why
kind of
did...
added fuel to that fire.
So, okay, if her husband and boyfriend were the initial suspects, what shifted the focus to her coworker, Jennifer Seibert?
Well, that's where the rust on Jolene's abandoned SUV comes in.
Okay.
Investigators noticed a lot of rust, significant rust buildup on the brakes,
Mm-hmm.
which suggested that the vehicle had been sitting still for much longer than a quick getaway would allow.
Oh,
So
okay.
this pointed them back towards the salon where Jolene was last seen working.
Okay, so the timeline is really important here.
Right.
It's not just that she disappeared after work.
Yeah.
There's like a gap,
Yeah, there's this gap.
and Jennifer Seibert is right smack in the middle of it.
Exactly. And Seibert's behavior is just suspicious, right? She avoids contact with the police, leaves a really strange voicemail, and then disappears herself.
It's like she wanted to be seen as a suspect.
Yeah, it's really odd.
And then, of course, there's that surveillance footage.
Right.
So they find Jolene's SUV,
Mm-hmm.
and who's caught on camera parking it in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Seibert, dressed in black,
Yep.
with scratches on her face.
It's wild.
What was she thinking?
Hard to say for sure,
Mm.
but what we know is that footage, coupled with Seibert's just strange behavior, it really changes the investigation.
Yeah.
Police search the salon, and they find blood evidence.
Oh.
A lot of it.
Really?
Enough to suggest there was a violent struggle, and then someone tried to clean up the scene, like really tried to clean it up.
Oh, gosh.
And then there's that receipt
What
for
receipt?
the electric fillet knife.
An electric fillet knife
Mm-hmm.
in a hair salon.
Yeah, that's where the case takes its first really dark turn, right?
Yeah.
The police realize they're not dealing with a missing person anymore.
Yeah.
This is most likely a homicide.
Oh, wow. So we've got a missing woman, a really bloody crime scene, and a coworker who's vanished. What happened next?
Well, the police, they made finding Jennifer Seibert their top priority, right?
Yeah.
Now she's officially a suspect, and the manhunt is on.
Wow.
They finally find her sleeping in her car at a rest stop.
Oh, wow.
Remember that strange voicemail she left?
Uh-huh.
So when they confront her, she denies everything.
Really?
Yeah, she even denies being in Jolene's car, even with that surveillance footage.
It seems like she wasn't thinking very clearly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty weak defense at that point, right?
Okay, for sure.
With all the other evidence piling up against her.
Yeah.
So they arrest her for grand theft auto, at least to get her into custody, and that's when things get really crazy.
Okay.
So while she's being transported to the station, Seibert makes a confession.
She confessed.
Yeah. But not to the crime, not to, what happened to Jolene.
So she confesses to something else. What did she say?
She says, "My name isn't Jennifer Seibert, it's Kimberly Kessler."
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Now, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yep.
We go from a potential murder case to like something straight out of a witness protection program.
It's wild.
Who is this Kimberly Kessler and what's she running from?
That's what the police want to know, right?
Yeah.
They run her prints,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out she's been a fugitive for like over 25 years,
Wow.
living under all these different names, aliases.
Oh my gosh.
Not only that, but she raised her child, under a fake name.
Are you serious?
Yeah, imagine that, like finding out your entire life was a lie. Like your mom
Yeah.
just made it all up.
That's insane.
It's crazy. So we've got a missing person, a possible murder,
Yeah.
and now we've got a fugitive with a secret past
Right.
that goes back decades.
So what kind of life, like what was she doing for those 25 years?
Well, it's a really weird story. Right? I'm talking about multiple identities, tons of different jobs.
Mm-hmm.
She was even in a relationship with a bank robber at one point.
Oh my gosh.
She was a truck driver,
Yeah.
a topless dancer, like she was a chameleon, always changing,
Mm.
adapting.
Wow.
Makes you think, like, what does that do to a person's mind, to live like that for so long?
Yeah, that's a long time to be living a lie.
Right.
So, I mean, somewhere along the line, she meets Jolene Cummings.
Hmm.
What could lead to this, like regular hairstylist becoming entangled with this woman in this web of lies?
Well, it seems like Jolene had found out Kessler's real identity
Okay.
and had threatened to expose her.
So that was too much.
Yeah, that was it. That was the breaking point for Kessler.
Yeah.
Jolene was a threat to the life that Kessler had built,
Mm-hmm.
the life she was willing to kill to protect.
God, it's terrifying to think that someone could be living a double life like that,
I know.
right under our noses, capable of anything to protect it.
Yeah, and it's more than just escaping the law.
Right.
It's like she created a whole new identity,
Yeah.
maintained that deception for years.
So this isn't just about a crime.
Right.
It's about like the psychology of deception, like why create a false identity?
Yeah.
And how far will someone go to protect it?
Absolutely. There are like these fascinating parallels to cases like, John List,
Yo.
who murdered his family and disappeared for like 18 years,
Wow.
created a whole new identity to get away with it.
It seems like the deeper we go into this case, the more
Yeah.
complex and kind of scary it gets.
It's a wild one.
So did the police did they buy Ketzler's story?
Well, during questioning, she admitted to the lies,
Hmm.
almost like she was proud of how she outsmarted everyone.
Really?
Yeah, but she never said anything about Jolene.
Huh.
But even without a body, the evidence was really adding up against her.
Right. There's the surveillance footage of her dumping those heavy bags.
Yeah.
And the bin with Jolene's fingernail in it.
Mm-hmm.
That must have been tough building a case without Jolene's body.
Absolutely, but they had the blood evidence, right?
Right.
In the salon and in her car.
Mm.
The cleaning supplies, the receipt for the electric fillet knife.
Right. Right.
So they were building a really strong circumstantial case, even without the victim's remains.
So they had enough to charge her with murder even without a body.
Yeah, they did. And the trial itself was almost as crazy as the case. I mean,
Yay.
Kessler, she was all over the place. She went on a hunger strike.
What?
Yeah, she claimed they were poisoning her food.
Oh my gosh.
She even threw, feces.
Oh, wow. She was really trying to disrupt things.
Yeah, it seems like she was trying to delay things, maybe even make people think she wasn't mentally fit to stand trial.
Wow. So she was still trying to control things, even in court.
It sure seems that way, yeah.
But did it work? I mean, did they delay the trial?
No, she was deemed competent,
Okay.
and the trial went ahead as planned.
So what happened?
Well, in 2020, after years of, legal back and forth
Mm-hmm.
and all that evidence piling up, Kimberly Kessler was found guilty
Wow.
of first-degree murder
Wow.
and sentenced to life in prison.
It's a victory, right?
Yeah.
But it's got to be bittersweet, I mean, Kessler's behind bars,
Right.
but Jolene's family still doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, that's the really sad part of this whole story.
Yeah.
There's no, closure for them, no
Mm.
place to grieve, to really say goodbye. It just adds, another layer of pain to this whole thing.
It's just awful.
Yeah, it's a terrible tragedy.
So this deep dive, man, it's been a whirlwind.
I know, right?
We went from a missing person to a murder,
Uh-huh.
uncovered all these lies,
Mm.
and then dove into the mind of someone who could live this double life.
It's wild, like something you'd see in a movie.
What stands out to you the most about this whole thing?
I think it's just a reminder that even in our everyday lives, we can run into people who are not who they say they are.
Yeah, that's scary.
Kimberly Kessler, she was really good at manipulating people, like a chameleon, blending in, but with all these secrets.
It makes you think, how well do we really know anyone?
Exactly. And why do people do this?
Right.
Create these elaborate lies.
That's a good question.
This case also shows how hard it is for investigators,
Yeah.
When someone goes missing and there's no body,
Mm-hmm.
you need really good forensic work. an understanding of the criminal mind,
Yeah.
and a lot of persistence. I mean, they had to build a really strong case to get Kessler convicted.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
So, I mean, there's no easy answers here.
Nope,
But Jolene's case shows us how important it is to be vigilant
absolutely.
for everyone, for regular people and for law enforcement.
Trust your gut. If something feels off,
Right.
pay attention to red flags.
Yeah,
And remember that anyone is capable of anything good or bad.
that's a good point.
It's a tough world out there,
It really is.
and we got to be ready for anything.
This deep dive has been, I don't know, it's been a lot.
Yeah, it has.
We started with Jolene going missing, then the shock of the murder,
Hmm.
and then Kimberly Kessler's double life.
It's like a story in a book.
And then justice, but also this like lingering sadness.
Yeah.
What's your like final takeaway for our listeners?
I think this case shows us that truth is crazier than fiction,
Yeah.
and that people are capable of amazing things,
Yeah.
both good and bad.
Most for sure.
And Jolene's story, it's a tragedy, but it shows the strength of the people who loved her.
Mm.
They never gave up searching for answers.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah, holding on to hope, even when things are really dark.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Jolene Cummings case.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And to all of you listening, if you want to learn more, look into the psychology of imposters,
Mhm.
the challenges of missing persons cases,
Yeah, those are fascinating.
or even forensic science.
Ah.
It's a crazy world out there, and knowledge, that's our best defense.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for listening, everyone.